Greetings nerds. I'd closed up for the day but realised I hadn't done an intro. So this video we're going to be taking the Cisco 3750 that was broken and we're going to put some basic config on it. What I'm looking for is some IP address so that I can manage it remotely over the network. I'm going to put some username and password on it. I'm going to shut down the ports that I don't need. I'm going to label the ports that I don't need. I'm going to configure a port between the 3750 and the MIKROTIK switch. It's going to be trunking Vlan from management, but it's also going to be sending a native Vlan, so an untagged Vlan, over the same trunk to the MIKROTIK as well. We're going to do some DHCP server setup, and what else? Yeah, I think that's probably it for now. And then next time we'll configure the MIKROTIK side so we can ping between the two, and then after that we'll do some parts on the APC. So I've got an APC power strip and a UPS, and I've got an APC camera. What else we got? We've just got a bunch of management stuff that's going to live on that Cisco switch. It's only a fast Ethernet switch. We're going to sit on there, and we're going to just use that basic switch. Just as it's not an out of band, but it just means that I'm not wasting those gig ports on something that doesn't need that kind of power. All right, stick around. Let's see. Alright, so the switch is rebooted. We've got the prompts, it's saying that the ports are up, it's saying it's grabbed an IP address from the DHCP on Vlan 1. Now Vlan 1 is the default Vlan on a switch, and the reason why it's grabbed that, this 24 port Cisco switch here is essentially, let me see if I can get a camera on it, but essentially it's running a simple port from port 24 on my what was I going to say? Port 24 on my, what's it called, that flipping switch? MIKROTIK. And I've connected the MIKROTIK to the Cisco. Oh, that port 22 there, that must be the Mac that's just rebooted. Nice. Check out the other video for the Mac problem that I've been having, but anyway, I had this thing that would stream video. Oh, yeah, sorry. There's a Cisco 24 port switch, and on port 24 is connected to port 24 on the MIKROTIK. So Vlan 1 being an untagged Vlan is allowing this DHCP address to be learned. So if we look at the switch config, once we've logged in, we'll look at the switch config, and I guess Vlan 1 has an IP DHCP client configuration on it. So by default, this is the switch, and there shouldn't be any config in here apart from the default, which is what you get when you provision the switch initially. All right, so not a lot. And if we look at the interfaces that are up right now, we'll see mostly down. So not connected means there's nothing connected to it, or if there is something connected to it, it's powered off. And connected means there is something connected to it and it's powered on. And the A before the word means auto. So it's auto configured a full duplex link and auto configured a 100 meg link. This is only a 10100 switch or a fast Ethernet switch. Apart from these last two ports, which are SFP ports. And you can see that at the end the type there is not present. That means there's no SFP connected to that slot. So not only they are not connected, but they are also not, there is not an SFP in that port, so it won't come up anyway. Okay, so what I want to do, I want to quickly configure a management VLAN, give it an IP address, and while we're here, we can also configure VLAN 32, which is my default LAN, give that an IP address, and try and reach out to the existing VLAN 32 network, which isn't a VLAN. I'll go into that further. So yeah, this MIKROTIK has a flat network. It's not got VLANs on it at all. It's only got switch ports all connected into one bridge. One big wide bridge, which is a switch anyway. So imagine a bridge, all the ports are able to talk to each other, and the switch is learning who's behind which port, but all the ports are flat, and any traffic from one port can go into another port. There's no virtualization that reduces the broadcast domain of that traffic. So what we can do is take that traffic as an untagged traffic into this Cisco switch, even though we're going to configure a VLAN. So let's see how that's done. I'll go into configuration mode. First of all, I'm going to give it a host name. Now I was thinking about this, and I thought if we call it Eckhart, and I hope I've spelled that right, I'm thinking that Batman, the original, the best, not Adam West, but Michael Keaton, all right? I'm thinking Michael Keaton, Batman, and I'll name the infrastructure after Michael Keaton, Batman movie characters. I can't. I've got an IP, I've got a domain name for my lab area, which is nicotopia.xyz. I've got an IO as well, so lab will be XYZ, live will be IO. What else can we do? We can do some DNS lookups, so we can do IP, name server, and we'll just give it an IP address. I think that my router does some recursive lookups for me, so I'll just give it the IP of that. And now we'll do VLAN 32. So VLAN 32 is what, it's not a real VLAN. I'm just going to use, if you see the third octet there is 32, so I'm going to use that third octet as the VLAN ID or VLAN number. So if we do VLAN 32, and I'll give that an IP address in that subnet. So let's give it 32 dot. I'm racking my brain now thinking what I have and haven't used. I'm going to use 250 and no I won't. I'll use 241 and hope that that's not used. Oops. 255, 0. It's a /24 network. What's wrong? I've not done this yet. So we'll give the VLAN a name first. Let's call it management. Oh, not management then. Oh, I've already got a VLAN 254. Oh, rubbish. All right. So VLAN 32, we'll call that, I don't know. Backbone. I don't know. Yeah, that backbone is good enough. So we'll call that one backbone. Apologies, I've already configured VLAN 255, and I've given it a name management, but just for completeness, there it is again. Now we'll create the layer 3 SVI switched virtual interface, and we'll put an IP address in it. So IP, interface VLAN 255, IP address 192.168.255. We'll give it the same IP address. All right, so 241, just to show you what that looks like. There it is again. And 32, we'll give it 32.251. Just remember how to do it, yeah. If you do Control and R, it does a refresh of the screen so you can see what you typed. If you get a log message that kind of obliterates what you were trying to type, you do Control R, it'll refresh the screen so you can see what you were writing. So we're in interface 32 now, VLAN 32. I'm going to give that IP address the same, 32.254. Okay, I want that IP address of VLAN 1. I'm just going to quickly show you what the default for VLAN 1 would be. It's got to be something like IP DHCP client or IP address DHCP or something. Yeah, so under VLAN 1, IP address DHCP. So we're going to rip that out. Interface VLAN 1. In fact, we can probably just remove that. No IP, no interface VLAN, and ISP. Okay, sorry, it's because I'm in that network. Oh, I should know that. No IP address, and we'll just shut it down. All right. Now we'll go into VLAN 32. We'll give that an IP address, or we can just use the up arrow. Let's go in there. Okay, and we'll no shut that. Now, it might not come up yet because there's no ports that have got VLAN 32 on it. What I'd like to do. Oh, what did I do? Did I not leave VLAN 1? Yeah, I didn't leave VLAN 1. Bloody hell. No IP address. Shut. Interface VLAN 32. And no shut. Yeah, so VLAN 32 won't come up yet because no interfaces have got VLAN 32 on it. And you know from earlier we spoke about port 24 being the link between the Cisco switch and the MIKROTIK switch. So I'm just going to go into that port, F1024, and I'm going to give this a name. And this is going to be the MTIC uplink. I'll think of a different name after, but anyway, let's call it that. Just for now. And you'll notice I use these uppercase characters a lot. Uppercase characters only because it shows me immediately that it's a differentiation from the configuration. Everything else is lowercase usually, except alerts on logs. So you can see these alerts on logs, line, proto, blah blah blah. They're big because they're bold. They stand out. If you use uppercase characters, it's big and it's bold and it stands out. And you'll see that in the next few minutes when we show the interfaces that we've got. So we're in 24. Now this is a link, and I want this to carry more than one VLAN. So it can't be an access port. It's going to be a trunk port sending more than one VLAN. So in that case, we need to give it an encapsulation type. So switch port trunk encapsulation.1q and switch port mode trunk, of course. Switch port trunk allowed VLAN will have 32 and 255. Okay, so we've added those two. And now VLAN 32 should come up. Let's just wait for that, unless I've stuffed it. You know what, maybe I think I did show it. I did a no shot on VLAN 32. Let me see if I can ping that IP address in VLAN 32. What was it, 241? Maybe I didn't no shut it. Interface VLAN 32, no shut. There we go. All right, so now they're both up, that's all good. And I can ping that IP address now. All right, great. If we look at the interfaces now, so if we just do a show interface status, you'll see all the interfaces that are not connected say not connected, that's pretty obvious. And all the ones that are connected say connected. You can see VLAN 1, that's the default VLAN for every port on the switch. And the ones that are connected seem to have negotiated A, which stands for auto negotiated. And then you'll have the duplex, which is full, and the speed, which is 100. In this case, because this switch is only a 10100 switch or a fast Ethernet switch, in the main there are 2 gig ports, which you see at the bottom. But they won't go active because there are no SFPs inside those slots. So it says type not present because it doesn't know what the physical media is going to be. You can make a copper SFP or a fiber SFP in there. So until it knows what it's going to get, it doesn't set it up. All right, so all of these ports with no names, I want to fix that problem, and all the ports that are not connected, I want to actually shut down, because if they're not connected, I don't need them to be active at this time. So I'm going to use the range commander here. So if you don't have to come down a step, but if I do interface range, if I spell it right, and we go from fast Ethernet 101 through to, where does it stop? 5, and then we start another range from 7 to 8, fast 107 to 8. And then what have we got? We've got 10 through to 20, so fast 10 through to 20. And then we've got those 2 gig Ethernet ports there at the end, so we do gig 101 to 2. And we can shut those down. And we can give them the name. It doesn't matter what name you use, but I'm going to use unused. All right, so I'm going to call them unused. Unused, sorry, not name, description. Description unused. Now, if we do a show interface status again, we'll see that the ports which were before not labeled are now labeled. Some of these ones that are connected, I don't know actually what is connected, so I'm going to leave them unnamed at the moment because I don't know what they are, but they do need to be filled in. We'll also apply some port security, which means only that device can be connected to that. It's a HOMELAB, but it makes sense to do things the right way. Now you can see they're all in VLAN 1, and we do know that these are only going to be end devices. There's not going to be anything running tagged traffic. They don't need to be trunk interfaces. So what I'm going to do is, again, an interface range command, but I don't need to be too picky about this one. So I'm going to say fast Ethernet 010 through to port 23. I can't do 24 because 24 is the trunk. And I'm going to say switch port mode access. And I'm going to say switch port access VLAN is 32, not 32, 255. So this switch is all going to be for VLAN 255, which is the management VLAN. All right, so that makes sense. But I didn't include the gig ports. Let's do that. Gig 101 through 2. Let's do that again. Switch port VLAN 255. Switch port access. Fixing the mode, by the way, just disables DTP, so it's not going to do that dynamic am I a trunk, am I an access port stuff. It's always good to do that. You can also do switch port no negotiate, which also turns off a lot of that stuff. Anyway, so where are we now? We've got the configuration done, mostly. I was going to do some DHCP on this, but I'm in two minds whether to put the DHCP on the DHCP server or let the switch do it. You know what, let's do the switch. So you do IP DHCP. First thing, we'll exclude some addresses because I don't want the management addresses for the switch or anything that I'm going to put in this device to be given out to end users, right? So I'm going to exclude 240 to 254 from the DHCP scope. So it'll only send out IPs from 192.168.255.1 through 192.168.255.253. Once I've done that. Anyway, so DHCP, now you've got to give it a name or a pool. You've got to create a pool, and this pool's going to have a name. So we're going to have a pool for management traffic, and you tell it what the network is. So the network is 192.168.255.0, and you can use the full mask thing, or you can just use the number of bits. So it's 24-bit mask. You need to tell it the default router so that when it hands out IP addresses to these devices, the devices know what their default gateway is. And for now, it's going to be this switch, all right. But I've got an idea that I think it will make the MIKROTIK the default router. But anyway, for now, it's okay just to do that. We also want to do things like, I don't know, domain name. So let's share that with everybody. And the DNS servers, we can set that to, not me, the internet gateway, so 254. What else? That'll do for now. I don't think there's anything else we need in there. So that's the DHCP scope done. What else? Oh, let's do some passwords as well. So, you know, before when we came in, there was no password asked of me. Let's just do this just for fun. So now, next time I try and enable myself, it will ask me for a secret password. That's the password. And the thing about using secret is, when you do a show run, you'll see secrets like you can't read that. If you use enable password, by then that would be a clear text password in the configuration. So best not to use that. Let's create a user now. Let's call it Richard. And I'm going to give Richard the privilege of 15, which means Richard doesn't have to go into enable mode anymore. He will just default go to privilege 15 level, which is the same as enable anyway, or at least the highest privilege level. And we'll give a password, a secret for Richard of Richard. All right, so it's just simple. And then we'll go into the VTY configuration, which is at the telnet SSH blah blah blah. We'll do login local, which means it will use the local username that I've just created there, Richard, to allow me to log in. And we'll do transport input SSH, so only SSH is allowed in, and we'll do transport output none. So you can't use this switch as a jumping off point to go to other devices. It won't let you out by default. We've also got the console line, so line con 0, and in con 0 we'll do again login local. That's all we need there. What else? Well, we can turn off some of the services. So we'll do no service, TCP small servers. I mean, look, we don't need to do any of this stuff. It's just for housekeeping. And there are books out there how to make your router more secure. We're not going to do any ACLs. We're just going to make it a little bit lighter. We'll turn off like the web server, for example, and the secure web server. What is that one? Is it HTTPS? I forgot what that is. No IP, HTTPS secure, is it? Something like that? Yeah, it's a secure server. All right, so we've turned off the web server. We've only got the GUI access through the VTY and the console. It's going to ask us for username and password. All the interfaces that we don't need to shut down. The interfaces that we do need are up, and they're in VLAN 255. And the trunk is allowing 32 and 2255. So we should be able to get to this from the MIKROTIK when I've configured that. But that's not for now. That's for another time. For now, I'll just check that the password works. So I'm going to log out. Hopefully it'll say what's your username. Let's try Richard, and we're in. Let's do a show interface status just to show that everyone's up. So we've got these connected ports here, connected ports there. No labels yet because I don't know what is what. I think 22 must have been the Mac because I'm installing the firmware on that Mac, so it probably reloaded. I saw 22 go up and down, so that probably is one of those Macs. But yeah, apart from that, I think we're done. I think we're done now. So that should be, you know, there was one thing. Remember we got VLAN 32, which isn't a VLAN in the MIKROTIK. VLAN 32 in the MIKROTIK is just one big bridge network, so flat network. Doesn't know about VLAN tagging, doesn't know about anything. So if I try and do a ping, for example, 192.168.32. the router's 254. It's like, it's not gonna work because I'm sending tagged traffic through that trunk, that port 24, and when it hits the MIKROTIK's going, well, I don't know what the heck this is. It's got this header in it. I just don't know what that is. So what we're gonna do is strip that out by going into fast1024, and we'll say switch port trunk native VLAN 32. So now when it sends packets out that are sourced from VLAN 32, it shouldn't include the 802.1q header, which should then result in a successful ping. If I do ping 254. There we go. All right. Now you can also see these crazy things. You see this minimum, average, max. That's because the first time it tries to ping that device, it has to do an ARP lookup to find the MAC address of that device. And so the first one's like, it gets it, and then the second one is on the money, but the average is obviously the difference between those two. All right, that's it for now. Anyway, at least that's the management switch up, ports configured, basic IP setup. Next part will go on the MIKROTIK, which is a flip-flop completely. I mean, trunking isn't trunking on that, and it drives me crazy. How they do the switching drives me crazy, but actually once you've done it a lot of times, you get used to it. It's kind of funky how it works. And there's a lot on the MIKROTIK that you can then put into your Linux bridging. It's because it's probably on Linux, isn't it? I mean, I actually don't even know what this router OS on MIKROTIK is based on, but I do know that the way that I'm configuring the ports feels exactly like I'm doing a Linux virtual Ethernet or bridging setup. So that'll be fun, but we'll do that one next time. Thanks everyone, take care.